Hey guys, if you're interested in learning how to make this kaftan dress, watch this video until the end. So for this dress, I'm using 2 yards of fabric. We're also going to be cutting the front and the back together. So we shall first fold once and then we shall fold again. And so at this point is where we're going to be starting all our measurements. So we're going to start by drawing our shoulder line. Our neckline is going to be 3.5 by 7 inches. Then we shall join that with a straight line. Also, we're going to be cutting the back and front together. So we're going to also draw in the back line, which is 1.5. Then we shall join it with a curve. So then we shall start marking our vertical measurements. My shoulder to bust is 10.5. And then my shoulder to waist is 17 inches. Then my shoulder to hips is 28 inches. So I'm going to first draw those lines. Then we move on to my full length, which is 38 plus 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Sorry, that last part was cut off, but this is it. The shoulder line, the bust line, the waistline, the hips, the full length, and the sewing allowance of 1.5. Then we have the front neckline and the back neckline. Then we shall go to that point and measure half of our shoulder measurements. Then from the shoulder point, we shall add our sleeve length, which for me, I put 8 inches. I won't be adding a shoulder slope for this one, but we shall just go straight into our armhole depth, where I'll put 9.5 for a loose fit. Then we shall draw our armhole line, and then I want to move the same measurements from up there and bring them down there. So after marking that, we shall just join those 2 points. Then we shall move to the bust line, where we shall measure the bust measurements divided by 4. Then I'll be adding 2 inches for ease because I want a free fitting. Then I'll add half an inch as sewing allowance. So on the waist, you also put the waist measurements divided by 4 and add 2 inches of ease and then half an inch of sewing allowance. On the hip line, you also have your hips divided by 4 plus 2 inches of ease and then half an inch of sewing allowance. And then we shall just transfer those measurements to the full length line and also to the sewing allowance. Then we shall just go ahead and join those points. For the armhole area, we shall just draw a curve like that using freehand and just join it to the bust line. Also make sure to smoothen out your curves so that you don't have sharp pointed corners at the waist or the hip. So now we're going to mark where our pockets are going to be, and that's going to be 17 inches from the shoulder line. And then the width of a pocket is usually 7 inches. Don't forget to add 0.5 inches above the shoulder line. So we shall start by cutting out the back neckline on both pieces. But before that, let me give you a quick recap. That's the bust line. The next is the waistline. The next is the hip line. The next is the full length plus 1.5 sewing allowance. And then that is the pocket distance, which is 7 inches. And then from this point to this point is the armhole depth. And then we're adding 0.5 inches to the shoulder line. So like I told you, we are cutting the back and front together. So we shall first cut the back neckline and all the rest of the outlines. Make sure you don't cut the front neckline on both your pieces. So we shall just notch that center. And also we shall notch the positions for the pocket on both the pieces. So then we shall separate the 2 pieces. Make sure to mark your wrong sides. One piece of it will be the back and then another piece will be the front. So now I've remained with one piece. I'll align it and this will be the front. So I'll cut out the front neckline on this piece only. So we shall have the back and then the front. So then we're going to mark out our sleeve extensions. Mine will be 2 inches. So that part times 2 will be the length, and then the width of that piece will be 5 inches. So we shall later put it on fold and then we shall join it to the sleeve, just like that. So we shall cut out 2 pieces for that. So next we're cutting out facing for the back, where we shall put that fabric on fold below it, and then we shall mark out the neckline. Then we shall just take it off, and then we shall just cut it out. Then we can just make a curve like that. So that's the back facing for the back part. Moving on to the front, we shall put a piece on fold below it and then align the centers just like that. Then we shall draw out the neckline and the shoulder line just like that, and then we shall take it off. So here you can freestyle according to the design you like, but for me I used 3 inches along that line, and then I just carved that out, though later on I ended up making those sharp corners instead of a curve. But yes, you just cut that out and that will be your front design. So this one will be on the right side of the fabric. So we shall cut out soft interfacing for that piece. Then we shall move on to the pockets. I folded this into 4 pieces. So my pockets are going to be 8.5 inches wide on that opening. Then you're just going to put your hand like that, and then we shall just draw it going downwards and then just create a curve. Make sure there's enough ease. And then when you reach that point, just curve it out like that. So like I said, that opening is going to be 8.5. So we shall just cut that out. So make sure to mark out the wrong sides. And then after that, we shall cut out the part that's on fold. So then we shall separate the pieces and place them right sides facing each other. So after ironing your interfacing onto this design, place it on the right side of the fabric like this. So we're going to turn it to the wrong side of the fabric. So the wrong side of the fabric will be facing the right side of the black design. And so then we shall sew it along the V. And then we shall turn it back where it will then be on the right side. So we've already finished sewing the V neckline there, and so make sure to notch that corner. So a reminder, this was the right side to the wrong side. So we're going to turn it over. So also make sure you notch that sewing allowance, especially if you have any curve. This will help the design to relax. So we're also going to top stitch this side just like that, but then we're going to make sure that the sewing allowance goes towards the yellow fabric, and then we shall just top stitch it down like that. This will also help for it to relax. So after we have done that part, we shall also go towards the edges. You can either fold it in an iron, or you can just use freehand and sew it down while folding it like that. I'll show you when I'm doing it, and then we shall just sew all around. Meanwhile, at this point is when I decided I'm going to make the edges pointed rather than curved. So here I'm showing you how to top stitch it. And so we're done, just like that. This is how it looks. And so when you turn it, it easily stays in place. So at this point, I had trimmed off the curves, and so we're going to go ahead and fold in the edges and sew. So as you can see, I'm folding in the edges while I sew down. So right now I'm already done with that stage, and so we shall just go ahead to press it, and so we shall move on to the back side. So for the back piece, right sides facing each other, we shall place the facing on the back piece, and then we shall sew along the neckline, and then we shall turn it to the other side. So here I've already sewn, as you can see. So we shall just make sure to notch all around the neckline, and then we shall turn it to the other side just like that. We shall hold the sewing allowance towards the facing, and then we shall top stitch the sewing allowance on the facing. We shall do that all around the neckline. Hold the sewing allowance towards the facing, and then we shall just stitch it down just like that. So this helps the facing to relax and look neater when we turn it towards the wrong side. So just like that, we are done, and as you've seen, it's looking neater. So we shall just go ahead and press it with a flat iron. So we shall then move to the pockets. I've already overlocked mine, and then we shall place them like that. And so from the shoulder to that point was 17 inches, and make sure that you pin them down. This will be right sides facing each other. So do that for both the left and the right sides facing each other, and then we're going to just stitch that part down. Also do that for the back piece as well. And then we shall stitch down all the pockets. So then when we're done, that's what it will look like, right sides facing each other. So we shall just press down the pockets with a flat iron. Then we shall go and overlock the sides of both the front and the back piece. Also make sure to overlock the lower part of the back facing, and only that lower curve. So we're going to join the shoulder line of the back and the front. As you can see, it's right sides facing each other. So we're going to place it like that. Then we shall open that facing of the back and then wrap it around the front shoulder. And then we shall pin it down and sew across like that. Then we shall do that on both sides. By the time it's done, that's how it will look. So I've already sewn it, and then I've overlocked it. So when you turn it, that's how it looks. So we shall move on to the sleeve extensions, iron them on fold, and then we shall move on to the sleeve, where we shall join those sleeve extensions to the sleeve. So we shall open it up like that, and then on the right side we shall place the sleeve extension just like that, and then we shall stitch it down. And so I've already finished stitching it down. As you've seen, we're going to overlock the raw edges, and then after that we shall hold the sewing allowance towards the sleeve extension and then top stitch. That will help it to stay in place. So right now I've already finished overlocking and top stitching it just like that on the black piece. So then we shall turn it to the wrong side. Then we shall align the back and the front to match each other. So after organizing and pinning it down, we shall then sew along the side seam from the sleeve to the pocket area until the hem, and you do it on both sides. And then after we are done, we shall then hem it at the bottom. So as you can see, the side seams are already done. The hem is also sewn in. So we shall go ahead and press the hem with a flat iron, and then make sure to also open the seams just like that and press them open. And so after that, we shall just turn it to the right side, and that's what it's going to look like, and this is done. So if this was helpful, make sure to leave a like, and if you have any questions, leave that in the comment section. All right, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.